What's up, everybody? Blake Martin here. With 26 million applications for unemployment insurance and still climbing, I'm sure that many of you have experienced portals that have either been down, non-responsive, error messages, all kinds of things all this week. I imagine that is going to continue for a little while because more and more people are continuing to apply for unemployment insurance. I have heard that systems are starting to get better. They're starting to sort of play catch up. Hopefully as more people do apply and are approved or have their applications at least completed, we'll start to notice the systems start to pick up. The news has been a crazy thing to follow over the last 6 weeks or so, and while there's a lot of bad news out there, there is some good news thus far. I've been reading stories about Inovio and Moderna both doing trials for vaccines. So there is at least some good news that we are potentially moving steps closer to having a vaccine. I did receive a tip this week from one of the readers from Killing the Points game, the Facebook group. I'll put a link to that below. This person let me know that they received an email from their local assemblyman stating that there was pre-applications available in California State for the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program. Now, just to be clear, I have yet to find a link on either the EDD website or the Labor and Workforce website. I have reached out to people, but I have yet to actually find anything to substantiate that. However, I'm going to stay on top of that, and if I do see it, I will let you know. EIDL and PPP loans and grants are still going out, so even if you applied, don't be discouraged. It is possible that they just haven't gotten to you yet. Also, it looks like an interim bill that would approve for more funding for the EIDL and the PPP, as well as other things, has been passed in the Senate, has now gone to the House, and will most likely pass today, and then be signed by the President, so we should be looking at some more funding for those programs in the very near future. That being said, I do have a little bit of worry regarding unemployment insurance. When it comes to reporting earnings, I'm noticing something that's just a little bit off. I will go into it in this video, and hopefully it will create some clarity, or at least let you guys know what's going on. So please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. I'm going to continue making these videos as long as we've got these things going on. Once this is all over, we will get back to killing the points game with credit cards and points and investing and student loans and all things related to personal finance. So I'm really looking forward to getting the channel back redirected to that. But while these things are still going on, I think that this is really important, so we need to make sure and cover our bases. Also, make sure to check out the Facebook group, Killing the Points Game. I'll put a link to that in the description below. And just a quick disclaimer, I am not a CPA, an accountant, a financial advisor. I have no licenses. These videos are meant to be entertainment. If you need advice, please seek professional advice, do your own research, and stay informed on what is going on. All right, so for the pre-application for the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program. Now, just to be clear, at this point, this is still just rumor. Other than in Oklahoma, I don't see any state that's actually allowing this yet, but the fact that it's being added to memos and in emails that are going out from assemblymen and women, it looks like this might be a possibility, so I think it's worth talking about. So as of right now, in California, you cannot apply for the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program until April 28th. Now that's different for each state, so make sure you check with your EDD site or your Labor and Workforce site. There should be information on that as to when you can apply, but in California, it's the 28th. Now, starting on the 19th, the EDD sites really started becoming much slower. Tons of people were getting error messages, tons of people are getting shut out from the site. Straight up, the website just wouldn't load. So I would venture to say that the reason why this happened is because too many people were on the site. There was just far too many people. We've got 26 million plus people applying for unemployment insurance. I wouldn't doubt if that number jumps to 40 or 50 million. So the 28th brings another potential opportunity for a massive slowdown again. We've got 15 million self-employed people in this country, so many of those people are going to be applying for the PUA, and I imagine that a similar thing that started happening on April 19th is going to happen on April 28th. So a pre-application process that would have most of your information already in the system and be able to sort of just be pushed through would not only save that headache, but also allow you to potentially get your money sooner. Most states have reported that their PUA application is going to be live within the next week or so. As I already mentioned, Oklahoma has already released a pre-application site, so hopefully other states will follow suit and we will see some pre-applications available, because that would really help people and streamline this process so that we don't have this massive slowdown come the 28th in California or somewhere in the next week in most states. I have reached out to the assemblymen who put out this email that I'm referencing. I've also reached out to my local assemblywoman, and if we have any sort of updates, I will report that to you guys as well. This could be really great news for those who are self-employed to get their money faster. Most self-employed people haven't had an ounce of help other than maybe the stimulus checks, the $1,200 checks, for the past 6 weeks or so. Many people have been experiencing hardship for at least 4 to 6 weeks, for some people up to 2 months, so this would be a real help to expedite this process so that we can get more money in your pocket faster. When it comes to regular UI claims, most people have had to wait between 2 and 3 weeks from when they first apply to actually get their first payment. So although this websites that most states have up say that it could be as little as 2 days, I wouldn't doubt if we end up having just as long of periods from when you apply to when you get your first payment as we do with regular UI claims. If that ends up being the case, then we're looking at the middle of May potentially, which would put you at least 2 months or more for most self-employed people with nothing more than maybe $1,200. So for many of these people, help is really needed, and hopefully with a pre-application process, we can expedite that process. So I'll put a link below to the California EDD site. I can't link every state's site, but please check with your EDD site, no matter what state you live in, and definitely keep yourself in the loop in terms of when these pre-application or the regular application is going to be in effect. That way you can apply as soon as possible. Now to the EIDL and PPP loans. So as many of you know, these loans and grants ran out of funding quite a while ago actually now. So it looks like there's an interim bill that has been passed by the Senate on Tuesday. It's looking like it's going to be passed by the House. Probably by the time you see this video, it will have already been passed by the House. And then hopefully it will get to the president's desk and be signed very quickly. And so we could see extra funding taking effect by as early as tomorrow, Friday, or hopefully sometime between Sunday or Tuesday. That's probably more realistic. The bill provides $484 billion for EIDL, PPP, hospitals, and expanded funding for testing. We're looking at $222 billion for PPP loans. We're looking at $60 billion for EIDL, which we're hoping is going to be that $1,000 to $10,000 of grant money, depending on how many employees your business has. We're looking at $75 billion for hospitals and $25 billion for further testing. So the first round of the PPP loans largely ended up going to bigger companies. Most banks that were taking applications for PPP, basically they only were allowing people who had existing business accounts with the bank to even apply. And so most people that either didn't have business accounts or didn't have relationships with bigger banks or any of the lenders that were approved by the SBA didn't even have the opportunity to apply for the PPP before the money ran out. This new bill has some carve-outs to basically provide money for smaller businesses, even sole props, even single employee businesses. So hopefully we will at least get some of that funding for smaller businesses and not only the large businesses. That being said, I myself applied on March 29th for the EIDL grant. The new application sort of came online right after I had done that, so I spent 2 or 3 hours filling out the original application, and then we had this very streamlined application that hit the SBA site that only took about 15 or 20 minutes. I filled that out on the 30th of March, and I didn't hear anything until the 21st. Actually, I've yet to hear anything, but on the 21st, I saw a deposit in my bank from the EIDL. So despite the fact that I have called the SBA on multiple occasions and talked to representatives, I've yet to receive any information as to the status of my case. I still don't know if I'm being offered a loan. However, I did get that grant money. So if you haven't yet received that grant money, but your application did go through, I would encourage you to not be discouraged, because it's still possible that it's in process, and just be watching your bank statements because you could see that money be deposited in the very near future. That being said, assuming that this bill does get passed, which it looks like it will, we don't exactly know what it's going to look like on the SBA site for opening up applications for the EIDL, or what it's going to look like for banks to start taking applications for PPP. I've seen reports of some banks actually already starting to take preemptive applications, basically because they're assuming that the funding is going to go through. So definitely look out for that now if you're planning on applying for the PPP. When it comes to the EIDL, I'll put a link below to the website where the SBA has, as of right now, it says that there's a lapse of funding. But hopefully in the very near future, once we have some more funding, then the portal will be back open so that you can apply for the EIDL grants. Okay, so now on to a little thing that I've noticed this week with unemployment insurance claims. So obviously this is regular unemployment insurance, not the PUA. But I think this is a potential problem, and it's something that I'm a little bit concerned about. Many of us are still trying to work, still trying to hustle, still trying to make a little bit of money in the midst of all of this. So in California, the way that they calculate your new payment amount after your reported earnings is that they take your amount that you earn for that week, they subtract 25% or $25, whichever one is higher, and then the remainder, that 75%, or in the case of being under $100, whatever the number minus $25 was, and then they subtract it from your weekly benefit amount. And as long as that number is at least $1, then you qualify for that amount plus the $600 that the CARES Act is giving us until the end of July. However, I have talked to many people thus far that have input all kinds of different numbers of reported earnings, and nobody's reporting that their weekly benefit amount is being affected at all by how much you put into the portal. I've talked to people who have received over $1,000 a week, which in California, they actually just max you out at $999.99, which would sort of lead us to believe that once you get to that point, you're not going to get any unemployment insurance anyways. But they're still getting their maximum weekly benefit amount. So I'm worried that there might be a problem with this. So is this a mistake? Or have the way that they're calculating weekly benefit amounts and the way that your reported earnings affect that amount, has that changed? I've yet to read anything from any EDD site or anything online at all that would lead me to believe that that has changed. However, nobody's having it affect their numbers. Now, at least in California, the EDD has been inundated with calls. They have upped their call centers, but basically at this point, you can't get through to anybody. And when I go through the website to try to ask a question via an email or some kind of like portal that allows you to submit a question, I end up with a message that basically tells me that I can't. So again, I have reached out to multiple assemblymen and women. I've also reached out to our local AFM here for musicians, and I'm hoping to get answers on this. But I'm concerned if they're getting paychecks that are above the amount that they actually should qualify for based on the usual calculators that the EDD uses. I'm worried that they're going to start clawing back some of that money. There's very clear pages on most EDD sites that talk about overpayment and repayment or paying back the EDD. So I'm worried about this. So when it comes to unemployment insurance, EIDL grants or loans, PPP loans or forgiveness, this whole thing is so complicated. So what I'm urging everybody to do is to, of course, apply for whatever you think that you might qualify for. But assuming you do get some payments, be very careful. Be very frugal, spend as little as you can right now, because if they end up requesting some of that money back, I would hate to see people not be able to pay it back and then be in trouble with their EDD department or with the SBA. So I just don't want to see that happen. So this applies especially to the PPP, but really any money that you've received now that you think might be a grant or that you think might be unemployment payments that you don't have to pay back. We just don't have enough data yet. We don't have enough cases to know what's going to happen. And if they do end up requesting any of that money back, that's going to be a big issue. So spend as little as you can, but any of that money that you don't have to spend, maybe put it in something like a high yield savings account, something that is secure, something that's liquid, but something that can at least get you back, 1.5, 1.6, that's kind of the average in most high yield savings accounts right now. So that even if, say with the PPP, you end up having a 1% interest rate on that money, you're not going to lose any money on that money that you've had to now potentially pay back. So definitely check my channel page for other videos on the PUA or the CARES Act. I've also got some of my personal music videos up there as well, so definitely go check those out. Killing the Points game content is coming soon. Hopefully we can all get back to normal soon and we can get back to those things. Personal finance, credit cards, points, all that kind of stuff. If you are in a place to be investing right now, I will put my link below to Webull, where you can get 2 free stocks by depositing $100 or more. I'll also put my link below to Robinhood. I kind of go back and forth between the two, so definitely feel free to do the same. Please like the video, subscribe to to the channel, hit the notification bell, and please comment on the videos. I try to get to as many comments as I can. If there's any way that I can help, I definitely will. Also, check out the Facebook group, Killing the Points Game. I do post there pretty regularly, trying to keep up on all this stuff. That's it for today. Help each other if you can. Stay home, stay safe, and be well.